for example, and you're like, oh, you're only giving 3% of that? Yes, but remember, there are other people in the organization that might be giving 50% of their time during the season to that we don't need Tommy to be speaking into strategy and vision, because strategy and vision was clear, at least for the next 6 months. And so we were all spending a lot of time executing on strategy and vision that we had already developed.
Yeah.
So it didn't need you to be, giving 50% of your time to that. So it doesn't mean that organizationally, only 3% of our time is being given to that, for example. It means that for Tommy, we only needed him to give 3% of his time to that. So I think that's really important. But what we do then is, once you have those, you kind of identify the percentage of time that you need to spend. And again, look at it in 30-day increments, just a month at a time. What's the percentage of time I need to spend on those? Then you translate that into number of days. Okay. So what is, 30% of a month is going to be, okay, not for 9 days out of the month or 12 days out of the month, I got to do development. Right.
That's right.
And so now here's the beautiful thing about that. Now, for a month, you can figure out, okay, how many days does that work out per week should I be spending? Right? How many hours does that equal to? And now you can begin to calendar your time.
Yeah, and you do blocks. So friends, if you're not using your calendar as a leader, start. Because you have to, what you write down, that's what you do. And so use your calendar, how many days per month? Now, obviously, it's not like I go, okay, all day, every day, or for 12 days, I'm only doing development. I break it up. But at the end of the month and at the end of 6 months, I look at it and I go, how much time am I actually doing? This is also an accountability. So when I go, man, we're not raising as much money. Oh, okay. Well, Tommy, you said you were going to do 12 full days of development. What kind of effort are you giving to it? And if I'm like, oh, I said I need to do 40%. I'm doing more like 20%.
Yeah.
What's taking up my time? And that's how you, again, prioritize and to keep accountability.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you think about, for example, the example of development where you're spending 12 days per month, over the course of 6 months, that's 72 days of development time that you've spent.
And if you're putting in the time and effort, you'll see the result.
Yeah.
But if you're not.
Absolutely. So then after we calculate the days per month, then we look at, okay, what do we mean by development? What's the practical work that makes up development? And again, I like to think in major movements, major big rocks kind of thing. So the big rock of development has a few smaller rocks that make that up.
Yep.
Major donor engagement, campaigns, finding donors in new cities, right? At the time we were hiring a new manager director. There's a new system that we were implementing. So those were kind of like the top 5 practical work. And so now you can take those things and schedule them out in your calendar over those 12 days per month that you had to do.
And think about how your life would change if you already knew all the work you need to do, 1 in the month and then 2 in the next 6 months.
Yeah. No.
It wouldn't feel so overwhelming because you've already chopped it up. How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time.
Right.
And so it's the same deal. And so we do that practical work, like smaller, big rocks, not like the specifics,
not the
detail, but
tasks.
But
even if you have to think of it in terms of like major projects or things that you have on your plate with regard to development or content creation. And then we look at, from the practical work, we look at the process, like what are the specific ways that I'm going to do major donor engagement, for example. Maybe there's a dinner I need to plan. Maybe I need to make certain number of personal contacts. So you're kind of taking a top-down approach to breaking this down. But I think what's really helpful in this is that we typically start on the other side. Usually when we're prioritizing or planning or scheduling or calendaring, we start with all the tasks and we start like, oh, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. And you have all this tasks, and then you don't really ever figure out, well, how many hours is that? What's the priority with regard to
feels
other things?
Overwhelming.
Yeah, if I just have a task list of 100 things that I have to do, I don't really know if I'm moving things along or am I working on the right things, I'm prioritizing. So starting with this top down, like what are the big rocks, and then breaking it down into smaller rocks. Actually, when you complete those smaller tasks, you actually collectively are completing and moving the big rocks. So you think about the process, but then here's another piece that gets overlooked and is really important.
This is,
okay, what am I expecting to get out of that?
Yes.
What is the outcome
of
this 40% of my time? What is the outcome that I want to see as a result of my prioritization, right? So if I'm spending 40% of my time on development over these 6 months, what I want to see is $1.45 million raised.
Yeah.
Okay.
And these are smart. These are smart.
Yeah, smart goals.
They're very clear. They're, measurable, all that. So,
and that's important because if you're saying something is a priority, but one, you don't know why it's a priority, you just know that you have to do it, and then you don't really know what you're trying to accomplish as a result of it, then that work actually doesn't feel fruitful at all. And so you're going to be feeling unfulfilled and all of that. And some of this, not all of these things are fun. I know you don't enjoy all of these things, right? But when, as a leader, these are things that we know we have to do in order to move the organization forward. And so it's important to prioritize them and to use a structure like this, to prioritize our work and then take those priorities and calendar them out so that I'm really clear on what I'm doing each day.